All right, welcome to 15.5. We're going to use the Pythagorean theorem to find distances, how far apart things are. So hopefully in these pictures you see some right triangles. Use the Pythagorean theorem to find the distances. Now you'll notice that normally we would have supplied classwork. Uh, For those of you who don't have it, just draw little sketches. You don't have to draw beautiful pictures. Just draw a little sketch of each one. But this will be a lesson where it'll be helpful if you have the printout. So number one, right? So the missing length is the hypotenuse. We're going to be finding the hypotenuse all period, all lesson. It's always going to be the hypotenuse that we're finding. So these are the two legs. So it's legs squared plus legs squared equals hypotenuse squared. So it's 6 squared plus 8 squared equals h squared. 6 squared is 36. 8 squared is 64. That equals h squared. 100 equals h squared. So h could be 10 or negative 10. We'll be crossing out the negative answer all day because we're going to be finding distances. And distances are always a positive number. They can't be a negative number. So what we're going to be doing today is more like number two, right? You don't see a right triangle, but hopefully you see right ends. Let's think about what we would do to draw a right triangle for slope. For slope, I would have said go to a good intersection, go straight down till you're even with the other good intersection, and then draw over. Yeah. So when we were doing slope, you were drawing right triangles. We're going to be doing almost exactly the same drawing today. You start at the upper one, go straight down to your even, and now we have a right triangle. Now that we have a right triangle, we can count the sides of the legs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can count this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is 6 and 8, so we don't have to do this again. It's going to be the same answer, 10 units. But notice, when it's vertical, up and down, you can count. When it's horizontal, left and right, you can count. But when it's diagonal like that, you can't count it. These are all little fractions of boxes here. You cannot count, and you have to use Pythagorean theorem. And so what this is exactly all these little fractions of lengths add up to 10 units. So if you understand that, you really understand today's lesson, but we're going to go over it a bunch. So for doing A to B, all right, so we start at the upper one, go down until we're even, and then go over. And then we draw our right triangle. For those of you who don't have the printout, you just draw the right triangle, right? Put A here, B there, and you're good to go. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 1, 2, 3. So it's 3 squared plus 4 squared equals h squared. So 9 plus 16 equals h squared. 25 equals h squared. 5 and negative 5 equal h, but it's going to be, and we should say 5 units. It's 5 units long. All right, so now we're going to do A to E. So you could count them from the screen. So we're going to go straight down until we're even with E and go straight over. That's a horrible hypotenuse. All right, let's do a little better. Could you draw it the other way? Absolutely you can. If you prefer to go that way, it's fine. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 there. And we're finding the hypotenuse. 5 squared plus 12 squared equals h squared. 25 plus 144 equals h squared. That's 169. We've done the square root of 169 many times. And so this is 13 units long for h. So there's a square. All the sides are the same. We have to there's many different right triangles you could draw. But let's say we start there. You go down, you go over to the next corner. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. It would work there. But there are other places you could do it. You could do it over here. It'd still be 4 and 3. You could do it over here. It would still be 4 this way and 3 this way. Either way you do it, it's 3 squared plus 4 squared equals h squared. We've done this combination many times. It's in fact the most common and famous right triangle. It actually has a name, and the name of this right triangle is called the 3, 4, 5 right triangle. If the legs are 3 and 4, the hypotenuse is always 5 in a right triangle. So this is 5 units. Each of these sides are 5. You can't count them. You have to use Pythagorean theorem. So we're finding Km, it says. That's Km right there. So we'll go straight down and then straight over. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now it says round the irrational square root to the nearest whole number. Okay, so it's not going to come out nicely. The legs are 4 and 8. 4 squared is 16. 8 squared is 64. 64 plus 16 is 80. So 80 equals h squared. Square root, positive and negative, right? We're going to cross out the negative because it's a side. So a side can be irrational, but it can't be negative. Square root of 80, well, nearest whole number, square root of 81 is 9. So square root of 80 is approximately 9 units long. The distance between A and C, it says. All right, so let's connect. You want to actually, so if you don't have this paper, you're going to draw a little rectangle, and then you're going to connect, and you're going to label A and C like that. And it says 24 inches for this side and 10 inches for that side. And we're going to find out how long this diagonal is. Let me erase that. And so it's 10 squared plus 24 squared equals our hypotenuse squared, right? The distance will always be at the hypotenuse. It's 100. 24 times 24 we did the other day. It is 576. 100 plus 576 is 676. Right? We hopefully know 25 times 25 is 625. I'm not going to show the work there. So something bigger than 25 times 25 is 676. And I didn't say it's irrational, so it must be a whole number. So let's do 26 times 26 and see if that comes out as 676. We've done this before. Yep. So it's 26 and negative 26, crossing that out, and this has inches on it. So we're going to say the distance, or the hypotenuse here, is 26 inches. Right? It's a standard that you can do this in 3 dimensions. So that's what this is about. So P to U, right? So that's the top of this box. So if you stare down at this box, you would see this. And one of the rules of these pictures is always, if this one below is 15 centimeters, this one above is always 15 centimeters. That's a rule of rectangles or rectangular prisms and these pictures. So if this one down here is 8 centimeters, that one up there is also 8 centimeters. Okay, so P to U is our diagonal distance, our hypotenuse. So it's 15 squared plus 8 squared equals hypotenuse squared. 15 times 15, you should have memorized by now, 225. 8 times 8, 64. 225 plus 64 is 289. Now, I haven't asked you to memorize that, but we know 225 is 15, right? So it's a little bit more than 15. So good guesses would be 16 or 17. let's see if it's 17. 7 times 7 is 49. Oh, that's a good indication. 7 times 1 plus 4 is 11. And then we add another there. Yep, 289. So it's 17, and negative 17 is our distance, and it's centimeters. Okay, same thing we've been doing, but now it's got decimals in it. So 0.5 squared plus 1.2 squared equals hypotenuse squared, right? 0.5 times 0.5. 5 times 5 is 25. Move the decimal twice. 0.25. 1.2 times 1.2. 2 times 2 is 4, and 2. Step over, and 2, and 1. Looks like 144, but I'm moving the decimal twice. 1.44. Well, 1.44 plus 0.25 is 1.69. Well, that looks like 169. 169, the square root is 13. I'll bet this is 1.3, right? And negative 1.3 will cross out, and it's inches because it says so right there. But let's just double check 1.3 times 1.3 just to make sure we're right. Well, we know 13 times 13. Well, I'll do the work. We know 13 times 13 is, 3 times 3 is 9. I'm going too fast. And then 3 there is 169. Move the decimal twice. Yeah, 1.69 is 1.3 times 1.3. All right, so we're at the practice already. All right, A to C. We're going straight down and straight over till we get to C. We're drawing our right triangle just like we would have when we were doing slope. We're going to count the boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So notice it's 6 squared plus 8 squared, right? Certain combinations are going to keep coming up. This is one we've done several times before because very few right triangles have these nice whole number sides on all 3 sides. Most right triangles have an irrational side. It's not unusual. 100 equals 8 squared. 10 times 10 is 100, and so this is 10 units long. R to U is right there. So we're picturing a right triangle on the side of this box. The bottom of it is 8 centimeters. Well, what's this? Well, we have to look, well, there's no dimension there, but there's one way over there, and that means this one is also 5 centimeters. Pictures work like that. And I have a feeling this is going to be irrational, even though I didn't say so. So 5 squared is 25. 8 squared is 64. Now 25 plus 64 is 89. 89 equals 8 squared. Don't put it in 89, right? It's the positive and negative square roots of 89. So I didn't say what to do, so you can leave it as your irrational square root if I don't say what to do. But let's understand this. Square root of 81 is 9. Square root of 100 is 10. So this is between, right, 9 and 10. 8 to there, 11 to there, right? So I would say if I was asked to round it to the nearest tenth, I'd say around 9.4 centimeters, right? Because it's a little lower than halfway. If it was a test, I would check it, all right? But it's either way, approximately 9.4 centimeters, or exactly the square root of 89 centimeters. I went to 2 colleges, right? The top picture is of Lehigh University. I would take note of that. It might be on the test. All right, that's where I went for 4 years and got an engineering degree. And this bottom is a picture of Washington Square Park, which is in the center of NYU, which is short for New York University, which is where I got my master's. And most people, however, call it NYU. Final question. So we're finding the distance from B, between B and D in the square. It's a square, so all the sides are the same. 10 squared plus 10 squared equals hypotenuse squared. 100 plus 100 equals h squared. Whoops, 200 equals h squared. So h is the square root of 200. So negative, right? Negative square root of 200 we're crossing out. It says you may leave your irrational square root as your answer. There it is. Square root of 200, right? So the square root of, we know the square root of what? 225 is 15. And the square root of 14 is what? 196. So, oh, this is a little bit, if you were asked, right? It's a little bit more than 14. I would be guessing 14.1 or 14.2 inches, and these are inches because it says so right there. I would be checking 14.1 or 2 if it was a test. All right, this is the last lesson for this week. I will have new lessons starting next week.